It is living based on unsustainable beliefs. And whenever a species begins to live on unsustainable beliefs, that species is due for a correction. What the practice does is it allows us to lovingly, peacefully begin that corrective process in our own lives, and then begin to share that corrective process with those around us. Many times in a non-verbal way. It's about changing the energy of who we are. Okay, I've said this in my other teachings. I say it in my healings. I'm going to say it every time I'm asked to say it. The practice is not about me. Do not associate my name with the practice. Do not associate who I am with the practice. It's not what the practice is about. I'm a deliverer of the message. The message is for you to take, for you to practice and learn from you to for you to change and adapt. Okay, this is not a static work. This is not a religion. This is not anything that can get stuck in time. Static religious beliefs have value, but they got stuck in the time that they were created, and even though the values and truth transcend time, the nature of them is stuck in a stagnated consciousness. And what it does is those of us who evolve out of that static range, we become trapped, we feel a sense of isolation, and we begin to feel alone in how we believe in life and God around us. This is an opportunity to be in community. Again, do not hear my words as any type of judgment against religions in any way. They are valuable and they serve a very valuable purpose. But like anything in life, we at some point can outgrow them, and we can allow ourselves to transcend them, use them as valuable tools, but no longer be encapsulated or encaged or imprisoned by their ideals that were set in place and described many times thousands of years ago before the inherent knowledge and wisdom that we have now existed. What I love about the practice is it is dynamic. It is based on the eternal truths of life. To be peaceful, to be loving, to be compassionate, to be honest, and most importantly, to embrace your sense of intuition, which means to embrace a sense of knowing that you have about life, about what life is, how life works, way beyond what your brain can comprehend or understand. The intuitive part of our being is what works very large numbers without us even being aware of it. Therefore, we gain information from it in ways that we don't understand. We just feel like, I just knew it. I saw something, I just knew it. I was in a situation, I just knew it. Okay? We don't say, I was in a situation and I saw A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and I took all those things, I thought about them, I sat there. Right? It doesn't happen. We just have a knowing. A knowing. And that's a very, very valuable gift. Okay? And the reason people don't want to unwrap it and use it is because it brings change. It brings change. It's such a dynamic, untethered gift that it brings change. And the change it brings is not change that's under your control. The truth brings change that is not under your control. The truth brings change into alignment. And when you hear the truth and you know the truth, not only are you set free, you then are acknowledging, I need to change. There's something about how I'm living, what I'm doing, how I'm thinking that I can change. I can let go of. I can improve. I can evolve. It is not about who you are not being absolutely perfect right now, because it is. You're perfect right now. You're perfect right now. You're perfect right now. Don't ever not acknowledge your current state of perfection. It's contraindicated. Are all of you created by a source and force of creation called God? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So are you all perfect? Yes. Can you understand why you're always perfect? No. Can you understand why the world is always perfect? No. There's one sign we didn't put up that I wanted to get to, and it's my fault because I didn't remind the girls. It'll be there every time you walk in the door. There's going to be a sign when you walk through the door, and it's going to say, leave all judgments at the door. Judgments equal self-imprisonment. The moment you judge something to be a certain way, you're setting yourself up to have to learn that it could be another way, and another way, and another way. Let it just be what it is. Stay away from judging any of it. The description I gave to you about the current state of humanity is not a judgment. It is an observation. There's a big difference. I'm not judging that floor to be brown. I'm looking at it, and it's brown. I'm not judging humanity to be in a space of delusion. I'm looking at it and looking at the behavior and the activity and the way that human beings in general are acting as a species, and they are delusional. You are all separating yourself from that group in some way and saying, you know what? I want to know a different way. I want to be able, I at least want to have the freedom to look at life in a way that lets God help me come to my own conclusions. Don't you all deserve that experience? Don't you all deserve the opportunity to have God help you all come to your own conclusions? You are not here to follow Keith. You're here to follow your own sense of what you know to be true and right within you. Awaken it, strengthen it, and let it guide every decision in your life. There are no gurus. There are no saviors. You are already saved and loved unconditionally. How much more can you be saved? Spend your life realizing that, practicing that, acknowledging that, letting that come to fulfillment in your life. Then you are saved. You are not saved by someone. You are saved by a level of enlightenment and wisdom you obtain and have eternally. Are we passionate? Are we passionate? Okay, am I motivating you? Okay, am I all in? Yeah, I'm all in. I'm not standing with my back against the wall. I'm purposely standing where? In the middle. You can see all sides of me. Okay, I'm not ashamed of any side of me. I'm not ashamed to be seen from any angle. I'm not afraid to put myself on display. I have nothing to hide. I'm past the point of really caring what any of you think about me. I love you all, but I'm past the point of caring what you think, because if I care what you think, then I'll alter the truth to accommodate you. The truth isn't present to accommodate us. The truth is present to align us. Life is not about getting what you want. Life is about being aligned, balanced, and then learning to live with what that alignment and balance brings you and takes you from you and gives to you. This is what the practice is all about. When you come to see me, all of you have come to see me, those of you who haven't, you come in, we have an experience together. I mix no words. You're either going to have an experience and decide you want to have another experience with me, or you're going to have an experience and you're going to decide you don't want to have another experience with me, right? How many times have I said that? Okay? I don't really care either way. I'm past that. I'm very loving, I'm very honest, I'm very compassionate. I practice those principles in my life. I know they exist in my being. I see the energy that happens around what I would call myself. The evidence is around me as well as within me. You all are the same thing. I'm not just here to guide you in these principles and teach them to you, okay? I'm here to open up the ability that all of you have within you to become exactly what I am, not in a personal way, but in your own way. You all have the ability to speak truth over people and heal them. You might not have it in your accessible space right now, but it exists within you. It is a seed waiting to be germinated, sprouted, and then fed the right truth. And in that truth, it will grow strong, and it will grow confident. And in the moment God asks you to step forward and speak that truth over somebody, you will do it, and you will see that healing, the truth of God, happen right in front of you. It's all within all of you. I am nothing special. We are all something special. Get that out of your head. We are only here to worship the Creator. We are not here to worship the created. The created is impermanent. Worship that which creates eternally. Live your eternal life. Live as though you're going to live forever. Start living your eternal life now. Why? Because you are living your eternal life right now. Wake up. How would you deal with something if you were going to be alive a million more years? Would it be as big of a deal, or would it be in a different perspective? Would it be bigger or smaller if you were going to live for a million years? Smaller. Can you understand why the practice works? Why is anything a big deal? It doesn't mean I'm insensitive or I'm non-reactive. It just means I live with a constant state of truth in my perspective. Is this going to matter to me 10,000 years from now? No, it doesn't mean I'm impervious or I don't do what's best, but I don't make it a big deal. What good does making something a big deal do? It makes it a big deal. When I decided I was going to teach, and God said, I need you to come back and start giving your life to what I want you to do with the rest of your life. I said, what is that? He says, I want you to start teaching. I says, I teach every day. He says, no, I want you to start teaching. I said, what's the difference? He says, I want you to make yourself available. I said, that's interesting. I says, I've tried that before. I says, you know, and it was, you know, relatively speaking, it was, you know, relatively successful. He said, this is different. I said, what's different about it? He goes, this time you're never going to stop. He says, you know that you're a teacher, right? I says, yes, I acknowledge that's one of my functions as a teacher. He goes, well, then why would that ever stop? He says, so this is what you do. You are going to teach in a way that makes you accessible on a regular basis to those that need to have accessibility to you. This is the beginning of what my future will be. That's why this class will not involve you paying me. It's not about money. It's not about supplements. It's not about that kind of care. That kind of care is very intense and it's very necessary, okay? But that type of care in all of your lives, if you follow this class, should become the minority of your care. This should be the majority of your care. I'm doing this to save you all a ton of money and a ton of time and a ton of energy. And, in all honesty, we need to make room for that intimate space with me and those people who are really in need, really need that original visit, really need that transformation. And this is a way that all of you can, in a more sustainable way, have access to the teachings, the inspiration, everything you come to see me for, without having to come to see me for it. I want you to start coming to see each other for it. Because there's going to come a moment in time when my presence is no longer going to be needed on this planet and I will be gone. And my goal is that when I leave, there is seamlessness. That this exists and goes on like I'm still here even though I'm not. To me, that's responsible teaching. That means it had nothing to do with me. That's what it's all about. So the energy of the class is based in that. We'll have a 5-minute meditation normally, all right? And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go with it. We'll probably do one time. We'll probably just have someone in the audience flip through the book. Like, how many people use the book where they just flip through the book and open to a page and and it's always perfect for right where they're at? Okay. Well, the book was, when did the book come out? Like 2012 or something like that. 13, something like that. And I've had 4 years to talk to people about how do you use the book, what do you do with the book, and I want to learn from the people who are using the book. And inevitably, the majority say, you know what, after I read it a couple times, you know, I just pick it up, I open to it, and every single time it's exactly what I need to hear in that moment. It's crazy, and I've read those pages, but they read different, they look different, they sound different. It's like it was perfect for me. So after hearing that from the majority of people, I'm like, okay, well, that's the way that we're meant to use the book. So what we'll do is one of the ways we'll open up our lesson is I'll have someone flip through the book, they'll open to a page, I'll immediately look at that page, and then I'll do an inspired teaching based on what the lesson we're supposed to get is, okay? Then after that, we'll open it up, and we'll start having discussion, okay, like this is the lesson. Who has a life experience they want to share? Who has something they want to talk about that relates to this? We'll pick someone to talk about it, or several people. We'll start to have a little dialogue, discussion. I'll interject how I feel is necessary about teaching the higher level of principles in the practice, if it's even needed, okay? If the group dynamic is guiding it and bringing it, that's awesome, okay? We'll do that. That'll be about 20, 25 minutes, however long that goes. And then at the end, I want to take 10 to 15 minutes, and I want to completely make myself available for anybody who wants to come up and have just everything I can give them in about 15 to 20 seconds. So it's not going to be what you normally have in the office. I'm just going to make myself totally available. You guys can just walk up. I'll give you all the love and balance I can give you in 15 to 20 seconds, and I'll just do as many as I can for 15, 20 minutes, and God willing, I'll be able to touch everybody who wants to have that experience. And again, it won't involve a monetary exchange. It won't involve an appointment. It's just a part of my evolution, and you'll honor me by allowing me to be in that space. Does that make sense? So I'm helping you grow. You're helping me grow. Symbiotic. In the past, when I tried to do this, we tried to do things that didn't work. We're going to do everything from a group level up. I used to have filmers and all that kind of stuff. It was unsustainable. I don't want to deal with it anymore. So what we're going to do is either Sarah or someone in the audience will use their phone. The class will be videoed in a very informal sense. It will be posted to our YouTube channel, Dr. Keith Jordan YouTube channel. We'll also try and post it to Facebook if it works. We'll just post it. Please take it, watch it, repost it. You want to spread this message? Spread it. You know, I think you'll understand it isn't right for me to be the one that spreads the message. I'm here to give the message. I'm not the one to spread the message. Those who hear the message and find truth and value in the message, they're the ones that are meant to spread the message. Because you're going to be much more powerful to spread this message, should you choose to, than me. You're far more powerful than that, and I am. I'm here to bring a message, but I'm no good at spreading it. I've never advertised in my practice, okay? So how did all of you end up hearing about me? From what? From somebody else, right? So did I spread that message, or did someone else spread the message? This is all the stuff God's made very clear to me. Why are you reinventing the wheel? Remember how I had it happen for you the first time? Yeah, well that's how it's going to happen the second time. Just ask them to help you. And in the meantime, as you spread the message, you're helping yourself, you're touching lives. You're spreading truth. To those who are open and ready, remember that. You'll know it. As your intuition gets stronger, you'll know when you need to tell somebody something, and you'll know when it's not going to make a difference. Don't waste truth. It's not going to make a difference. Practice acceptance, peace, and compassion. Allow people to be where they're at. They have every right to be where they're at. No judgment in that. So that's going to be the general format of the class. How's that sound, everybody? Okay. So what we're going to do in some of the healings as well, okay, is I'm going to ask when I'm doing a healing with someone, okay, anyone who feels called to enter into that healing space with me and lay hands on somebody with a peaceful, loving, positive intention, I call you out. You don't have to know what you're going to do. It's not about that. True healing does not come from technique. It comes from the heart. You don't have to see things like I see things. You don't have to know things like I know things, okay? It has nothing to do with why you get better when I put my hands on you. You all get better when I put my hands on you because I love you. I love you without judgment. I love you without fear. I just love you. And in that space of love, then I receive the messages. Then I receive the information. Then I receive the insight. But I need you all to know, a lot of people in these techniques, they want to put the cart before the horse, and they're missing it. People ask me, what technique do you practice? I say, love. I practice love. And that's literally what I practice. I practice love every day. Love is the healer. Love is the creator. It's that simple. It's crazy that it's that simple. So if any of you, okay, as I'm healing, just feel the need to come up and want to get your hands a little wet in it and get your hands and your feet into it, just come up, hold a space of love for this person. Just practice holding a space of love. Be with me. You'll feel it. You'll receive. As we give, we receive. That's how it works, okay? So I want even that aspect of what I'm doing to really be open to a group dynamic, okay? That's why we're in a circle. I want everybody looking at everyone. Next time you guys come, we are going to get name tags, so you guys will all start to wear name tags. I think it's important that everyone, all your last names are the same, okay? It's God, but your first names are different. So it's fun to call each other by your first names. I want you guys to all get to know each other. You guys are the first class. You guys showed up. There's something very special about that. I want you to walk out of here after you've heard what you've heard me say to you and how you feel yourself being moved and realize, was this a coincidence or no? No. You are here for a reason. You were called to this moment for a reason. You're either called to it to know you want to continue to be called to it, or you're called to it to know that you don't want to be called to it. But either way, you were called to it to have an experience. Honor that experience. And if you continue to come, remember, you're coming to be a part of something. I want to get into the teaching just a little bit. You all came tonight and you saw me out there helping people park cars, right? And then I walked upstairs and one of the guests was lovely enough to say, you know what, the toilet isn't flushing. The toilet isn't working. So I went in there and I plunged the toilet. Okay, got the toilet working. And when I walk around the building, whenever I see garbage or things on the floor, even little pieces, I clean it up. Okay. So really, what I want to start this practice off by teaching you all is, when you are truly a servant of love, you can never be a slave. If you give your life to serving love, you can never be a slave. You can't be a slave to fear. You can't be a slave to anger. You can't be a slave to control. You may experience those things, okay? They may control you for a moment, but they will not control you for any significant period of time, and therefore they will not have any significant effect on your body, mind, or spirit long term. We must be servants. If we're not a servant, we're a slave. It's that simple. Servants have to take care of themselves so they can continue to serve. Servants have to eat good. And a lot of what we're going to work on in this practice going forward is we are going to include our bodies. So we're going to talk about our bodies and what it means to keep our bodies healthy and strong. And we're going to help in a loving way hold each other accountable. We're going to use the group dynamic to strengthen each other. Like a cable wire, we're going to wrap ourselves around each other so that if someone has a weakness with food, okay, we're going to wrap ourselves around that person and support them and say, come on, come on. We're all going to do it. We're all going to fast this Sunday. We're all going to do this. And we're all going to get together and we're going to do it. I have a very structured practice. I'm very surrendered. I do the same things that I need to do on a regular basis. Okay? Why? Who do I do them for? Yeah. Who said that? Someone whispered it out.
I did.
Yeah. I do it for God, which means invariably, who do I do it for? Yes. I do it for all of you. I do it for myself. I do it for the whole. Okay? So there's times that I might not exactly feel like working out or eating healthy, okay? But then I realize, you know what? I have 18 people coming to see me tomorrow, and you know what? It's in the highest good for me to be at my best for those people. Now, I may say I'm going to see 18 people, okay? How many people are you going to see tomorrow? You're going to see at least 18 people tomorrow. You're going to see at least 18 people tomorrow walking around, people you don't even know, people you're not even going to talk to. But you are going to expose your energy to people all the time. So for the greater good, it is important that we take care of ourselves. Secondly, for the greater good, you are in this practice, you are here to be an example. You are not here to speak first. You are here to be an example. If you're not being it, don't say it. It's bad for you. Speak what you are. If you're not, just be quiet. Don't contraindicate yourself. Or don't, I'm not sure, that's the wrong word. Don't contradict yourself. Be in acceptance of where you are. And speak within that. Let your practice guide where you're at. Accept where you're at, but let it guide it. So when you're a servant, you are not a slave. When you come to receive, as we all do in life, when we come to receive, it only is right that we serve. If we are not serving, what I mean by that is I'm not saying you have to go feed the homeless. I'm not saying you got to go, those things are great, don't get me wrong. I'm saying just to serve means to just, when God puts something in front of you to do, like clean a toilet, thank you, or help people park cars, is anything beyond God? Does God clean up and decompose garbage? And yeah, God does it all. So to me, if God does it all, and I'm of that, I have to look at what's right in front of me, and I have to do all the things that are being put in front of me to do. Liking it has nothing to do with it. Wanting it has nothing to do with it. It's if it's put in front of me, and it's obvious that God wants me to be instrumental in it, then just do your best to do what you can. That's all. That's what it is to be a servant. Does that make sense to everybody? Being a servant doesn't mean you can fix anything. Life isn't about fixing things. Life is about just being present for things and watching them resolve. Not because of what you did, or not because of what you didn't do. Get disconnected from those outcomes. Just be present and watch it happening. We're not about taking credit or blame. We're about being present, observing order, which takes me to my last bullet point on this. I am very fond of having faith in God. I think it's a wonderful stepping stone. Okay? But I know God. I know God. I don't know God. I don't see God as a personal thing for me. I know God exists. I know God. To me, let me define it. For me, God is the force and source of all creation. It is unconditional love, acceptance, peace, and truth. It is order. It is order. So for me, I don't have to have faith in God. I look around me and I see God everywhere. I see God right there. 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 I see the evidence of God's existence everywhere I look. So for me, there's nothing I have to have faith in. In a moment where things are difficult or traumatic or aren't going the way I want, I can still look and go, well, that's still there. So even though I might be having an experience, it doesn't change the fact that the order of the universe is still present, active, and doing its job. So we can transcend faith. Faith is when you talk about faith, it's about you're taking a leap of faith. You're believing in something that you're not quite sure. You're overcoming your fear. You're having faith in something bigger than you. And it's a wonderful step. But we have certainty. When we have certainty of God, we can enjoy faith, but we can enjoy it a lot more in a space of certainty. And the more you practice, the more certain and undeniable God's existence becomes. Events and circumstances completely beyond your control and completely beyond synchronicity and circumstance will happen to you again and again and again and again and again. And it's only after so many times that you have to say, okay. And the more intuitive you allow yourself to become, the more certain God becomes. Now, why is that beautiful? Because it's a lovely sense of accountability. Not in a negative way. It's just, I want to honor and respect the order that gives me the gift of life. I want to help that order do its job. I want to help. It sounds funny, like, oh, God doesn't need any help. It's like, well, every force loves assistance. It doesn't need it, but it loves assistance. So why not just assist? Because when you assist it, you assist the own order within yourself. So I ask you all to come here and be servants. And when you are, then you'll be done being slaves to food, you'll be done being slaves to emotion, you'll be done being slaves to a lot of things. And it's a great life. I use these words, they've been used in other ways, but they're really true. I ask all of you to finally just start practicing living in heaven on earth. Heaven on earth isn't, you don't have to wait for heaven, everybody. It's right here, it's right now. I live in it every day. All of you have come to see me that are in this room. If not, you've heard. Miracles happen every single day, and I watch them happen right in front of me every single day. And I know if they're happening right in front of me every single day, they're happening everywhere, every single day, all the time. So heaven is all over the place. You just got to let yourself. You got to let yourself see it. You got to let yourself be aware of it. You got to let yourself change to a person that allows yourself to exist in that space. And when you enter that space, you enter a healing space. Okay? It doesn't mean that all your sicknesses vanish immediately, although a lot of them will go away. Okay? What it means is you are in a space of peace, knowing that you are allowing healing to have its greatest effect and potential in your life. Make sure you get the difference with that, because when you look at so many people look at being healed versus being in a space of healing. It's most important to be in a space of healing. Being healed has a beginning and an ending. Being in a space of healing is eternal. We always need to practice aligning with being in a space of healing, because we're always going through a process of construction and deconstruction, construction and deconstruction. Sarah, what time is it?
I can't access it on my phone.
5 after 7? Great. Okay. So, what I want to do now is I want to open it up, and I want to take any questions that people may have about the experience, about what's going on, if there is any. If not, then we're going to move into a lesson. But I want to ask everybody, does anyone have any questions? Yes?
I left here after meeting with you for the first time, and I was ready to see heaven on earth. It's not here, it's there.
That's right.
And I'm doing this, and at work, this went away.
Right.
Because of everything that has me believing that that couldn't possibly be heaven.
That's
because
right.
it's too miserable.
That's right.
So how do I get back to seeing heaven on earth when I'm surrounded by what I perceive as misery?
Okay, so what you're talking about, okay, is a very normal experience. And the reason for it is that now that you know what's possible, okay, now it's about practice. So what allows you to experience that no matter where you're at? Practicing it. people is, the practice is, I feel, one of the most difficult spiritual practices there are, because it really calls you out on everything. Okay, so what you're experiencing is your God is your sensory environment, and your knowing is becoming less powerful. So what's happening is your sensory system, because it's in a habit of being overwhelmed, nervous, worried, and concerned, and if I may, trying to fit in, it doesn't quite understand how you can completely be yourself in this environment, all right? And this is very, very normal. Remember, the practice starts with what environment? This one or this one? This one, okay? When this environment is strong and grounded in peace, it can be in any environment. So what I would tell you is, you just left your inner environment, which was your heaven on earth, and you went into your outer environment, okay? And so what I'd ask you to do is just go back within, realize, no, I need to cultivate this environment within me. That's where it needs to continue to grow. And as it does, then I'll be able to be in outer environments. And the practice, the reason it's so awesome is because it calls you on your caca constantly. Because if you're really at peace and you're really there, you can be in situations and you're really there. And if you're just telling yourself you're there, okay, and then all of a sudden you go through a situation and you're experiencing that, that's a beautiful thing for you. It just helps you realize, you know what? At least now I know how I can be.
Right.
Now I just have to put in the time and practice. They say to be a professional takes 10,000 hours, right? You have to do 10,000 shots or 10,000 hours or whatever it is. Okay, well, there's no difference in being, to practice being a spiritual professional. You just have to commit to the practice. And the healings help to accelerate it and help to give you a vision and an experience of, why am I doing this? So now when you're practicing what we're going to be talking about week after week after week, at least you know why you're practicing it. And over time, as anyone will tell you that you talk to, over time, the experience that you leave my office feeling, it starts to be longer and longer and longer and longer, and it lasts longer and longer and longer. And many times, many people have seen me for a long time. It becomes seamless. They'll see me, they'll feel that way when they leave the office, they'll come back in still feeling that way. I'll see them, it'll get deeper. They'll feel that way for months and months and months. You're just in the very beginning of converting. It's very normal. It's a great question. I'm sure someone else has had that experience too, right? Yeah. Any other questions? Awesome. Good. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna grab my book. I'll lead by example. And we're gonna do it's about 7:15, so we're gonna do a quick lesson, and then I want to leave a little time to do a little bit of things at the end, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll really be close on time here, so I want to make sure that if I get a little off, make sure someone tell me at 7:30. I want to be respectful of time. We want to start at the same time. We want to leave at the same time. So, let's respect it so that when it's over, we all get in our cars, we all leave, so that people can make this a sustainable thing. It has to be something we can keep up with, or it's not sustainable. Okay, so this is great, because I have to flip. All right. Sometimes when you're going to get into a long-term project, like practice living eternally, it's a nice little project. It's something you're going to talk about, 1,000-mile journey, right? It's important to remember where you're going. There's a lot of times, there'll be a lot of times in this practice that you're going to want to give up. You're not going to want to do it. You're going to want to just say, forget it. Why isn't everybody else doing this? I don't want to do this. You'll go through that. Okay, that's normal. That's like the breaking down of the ego and the self. So what I want to do for you is, I want to take the time and I want to begin our first class with the end of the book.
No, I was waiting at the lady to give me out the book.
Yeah. And we have books. You know what? I love people that buy the books and give them, but the main thing is you have one. So, we'll have folks here. If anyone needs to borrow one for a class or whatever, just hand it back in the end. If you want to have a copy of your own, that's awesome. But let's just, it's all about what we're doing together. I give the books away all the time, so I want you to have a copy. You good to go? Patty, you grabbing some more? Okay, well, I'll start reading it. So, the last chapter of the book, which is something you always tell people not to do, don't start with the last chapter of the book. This is important to start with the last chapter of the book. Okay, this is the one chapter of the book that I didn't speak in front of everyone. I woke up, I was in a meditation, and I came out of the meditation, sat down at the computer, and it was about, I don't know, I can't remember, but it was somewhere between 1 minute and 5 minutes that I typed out the whole last chapter of the book. So clearly it was just pure channel, right through, just pure message. I didn't have time to even think about it. So what I'd like to do is I'd like you all to just turn to the last chapter of the book. And again, we're going to use the book as an inspiration and as a tool, all right? So don't get hung up on the book, just like I don't want you to get hung up on me, I don't want you to get hung up on anything. Everything's a tool to create change, evolution, enlightenment, growth, all that great stuff, all right? It's a great book, but it's just a book, and it's a wonderful book, but don't get too wrapped up. Look at what it has to teach you, take the information, and grow. I always told myself that every 5 to 10 years I would love to have the time to rewrite this book, because I think the practice to truly be a dynamic work, it should be rewritten on a regular basis. And there should be an older version. So there should be version after version after version, so that there's a trail of this is the practice at this time, at this time, at this time. I think it would be a good example, not to get locked in. So anyway, that's how this chapter was written. So everyone just kind of read along with me. I'll read it out loud. And just listen to what it's really telling us. Listen to the depth that it's really telling us and the experience. Listen and try and be open to the true experience that life really has in store for us. You know? The love it has for us, the intention it has for us, and the wonderful promises that it makes for us. That if we practice, they will be fulfilled. You know? Again, we're not looking for these to be fulfilled in a specific space of time. We're looking at over the eternal process of existence, these things will be fulfilled. The eternal purpose of the continual practice of living life fully and loving life unconditionally is to allow and then cultivate the life experience in which your own life, including what you consider to be yourself, to be, slowly dies away. What remains is God energy. This God energy manifests in an ever-changing form that is the new you. The new you is no longer governed by all the data from perceptual experience, which is what her example was, perceptual experience, or by your own unconscious. Neither is it any longer governed by the unconscious opinion of others or by the institutions they have created. The new you as a field of life is governed only by the law of the highest good based on unconditional love, acceptance, and peace and compassion, which is the true law of God, of life. Life allows an infinite number of life forms to exist and evolve simultaneously. All have the perfect experience necessary for the evolution and transformation of unconsciousness into a higher field of relative consciousness. Remember, that's really what's going on. We're all just going from one thing to another, one thing to another, one thing to another, one level of knowing to a higher level of knowing. And you know what you know when you know it. And you know more, and when you know more, then you adapt, you change, you allow yourself to evolve. But at some point, everything you know, to some extent, will be different as you go forward. The only things that are really eternal are, in this process of ever change, we continue to be loving, peaceful, accepting, compassionate to ourselves and other life forms as best we can. All have the perfect experience necessary for the evolution and transformation of unconsciousness into a higher field of relative consciousness. All happens in a state of complete order. Now, I know we see signs of entropy, or we see signs of chaos and things, but chaos is a judgment. It's what we see at the time. It's what we judge to be not orderly. Okay? A lot of times, transition and change looks chaotic, but it is really just order evolving to a different level. So be careful of how you judge those things. Even though we are beset with our constant ignorant resistant, life is eternally patient beyond our comprehension. In order that we can observe and appreciate in nature is the nature of life. Remember that. You know, everything that isn't human, okay, has a much easier time following the rules that humans don't feel they have to follow. The order is not hidden, but completely obvious and out in the open when we look at it with life's eye, through our intuitive knowing, through the eye of unconditional love, acceptance, peace, through the eye of God. The purpose of life is nothing other than an eternal, choiceless surrender into an unconditionally loving relationship with the practice of living life itself. Never again do you need to concern yourself with the outer influences of this world or try desperately to accommodate all its never-ending needs and desires. It doesn't work. It never ends. When is the last time everybody in your life was completely happy? Thank you. There's humor in that, isn't there? And if you did have a moment where everyone was completely happy, how long did that moment last? That's an even a bigger joke, right? Yeah, a moment, right. Exactly. Nothing quenches your desire and any more except the practice of life. You've given up the endless attempts to find happiness in superficial temporal pleasure, which is pleasure based in a moment of time that cannot withstand the eternal test of life or provide any kind of sustainable peace. You dedicate yourself to living fully and loving life unconditionally for eternity. You've taken your hands off the steering wheel of life and you feel free. In other words, you're letting go of control of anything going on around you. You are simply being in control of what goes on within you. What anyone thinks of you or your practice of living and loving life is not important to you. That's a big one. When you find something that works for you and you feel a greater sense of peace, healing, and balance in your life, you don't owe anybody any explanations. You're not telling them what they're supposed to do. The practice isn't about telling anybody what they're supposed to do. The practice is just doing what you know is best. You're not saying, you do this. We are not I'm going to say the wrong word. Evangelizing here. We're not converting here. That is the opposite of what we're about. We don't have to. We just are this beautiful ripple of truth that just penetrates into matter and lets it change as it's meant to. Catalyzing. You practice for yourself and for the highest good of everyone else in the space of unconditional love and gratitude. You practice for life itself, exactly, for the unconditional love of God to which you have bowed in choiceless surrender for all eternity. It is all you need to know. Okay? That is all we ever bow to, is the order. Isn't it right that we should worship the order of life, that within it our right to exist is present? That's something that deserves my worship and my praise. That's something real. That's something very, very real. The perceptual events of the world no longer control you or you them. They do not dictate who you will be, who you have been, or who you will become. You let everything go, release it all in an act of choiceless surrender. You are in this world, but no longer of it the same way. You live in an inner space full of peace. You are at peace with all possible outcomes of life. Remember, this is where we get to at the very higher levels of being at the end of the practice. This is why you're doing this, everybody. I want to inspire you to this truth. You are at peace with all the possible outcomes. Each day you grow more peaceful with every opportunity life brings you. You encounter any one of an infinite number of possibilities with peace, joy, and trust. You realize that you are a part of a mystery, and you embrace mystery. You feel eternally grateful for the wisdom life bestows upon you. Your whole being is open to whatever life/God brings. You suppress nothing, yet your emotions and the emotions of others no longer control you. You can start to see as we get into the practice now. I forgot your first name again. Catherine. You can start to see some of the answers coming to you now. Oh, this is how this is going to work. This is how I can be at work and it'll feel this way. That's why we're doing to the end of the book, so you can see where I'm taking you. You are free to be and do whatever life asks, free to serve life in whatever way you are instructed from one moment to another. You have a bodily form, yet relatively speaking, you are undefined. You are everything and nothing all at once. You are everything God asks of you. You are ready to serve the great master of all eternity. In infinite potential, you are ready for miracles to come through you. You are limitless and unbounded. This is our pure essence. You are one with all those around you, those you are aware of and those you are not. As a child incarnate, you are one with the universe for all eternity. Now it is enough for you to be present and prepared to love unconditionally. You no longer need to fix anyone or anything. As a result, you bring peace. Think about that. Because you no longer need to fix everybody, you actually bring peace. You think you're bringing peace, trying to fix everybody. It's so great to be wrong about something that's so obvious when you see it. It's like I'm always so happy to be enlightened about something I was completely wrong about. It's like, thank you. I'm so glad that I'm done learning the other way. Mm-hmm. Now it's enough for you to be present and prepared to love unconditionally. You no longer need to fix anyone or anything. As a result, you bring peace wherever you go. You no longer need to judge anything anymore. Your only tool is unconditional love and acceptance for all parts of yourself and everyone else, which means we start where we start. You're great where you're at. You're not behind, you're not ahead, you're nothing. You're perfect. Just start where you start. And it is enough. Compassion is the only state of being you will have available when you see others resisting life's order. Yet you won't blame them for getting in their own way. Feeling bad is no longer in the highest good. And feeling good is always a result of balance. Death is a momentary occurrence that you love and embrace, allow and accept. Death around you, death within you. As you let go of loved ones, you accept the truth that life and death happen every moment eternally. Karma fades into forgiveness, and forgiveness morphs into unconditional acceptance in the moment. If we can live in unconditional acceptance in the moment, what needs to be forgiven? We can skip that step. It's not a bad step. If we need the step, we use the step. But if we can totally accept it as being just the way it's supposed to be, what's there to forgive? If we can totally accept someone, what's there to forgive? We can just say, well, that's just the way it is. Again, no judgment against it, but what could be beyond it? Evil becomes obsolete because there's nothing more than unconsciousness and ignorance in disguise.